Hey beauties, good afternoon to you. You know, one of the major problems in the world today is that people cannot tell the difference between a friend and an enemy. And when I say cannot tell the difference, they perhaps know, but unfortunately because they want to be a part of the popular crew, the popular crowd, they want accolades, they want likes, they want love, they want views. You know, they want to be part of the in crowd. They actually discard their friend and they open the door to the enemy. That is one of the worst mistakes that any human being can ever make. One of the worst mistakes any human can ever make in this life. You have to be able to discern, not just discern, but you cannot categorize a friend and an enemy and put them in the same box. You cannot treat them similarly. Do not get me wrong. Converse, I am not saying that if your enemy is hungry, you don't feed him. If he needs clothes, he or she needs clothes, you don't clothe them. If you can provide some sort of assistance, I'm not saying you need to be nasty or unkind in terms of your words or your deeds. But at the same time, you do not befriend somebody who does not like you. You do not befriend somebody who hates you. You do not befriend someone who abhors you and will do all manner of evil to get rid of you or to defame your name or to try and get others to hate you. You have to understand the difference. And many people are in too much, or they're in regrets, too much regrets, because they sabotage their friends or their friendships and welcome the enemies. They didn't welcome the heavenly host of angels in their own abode. They welcomed fallen angels. You have to have the spirit of discernment. You have to use emotional intelligence. You also need to exhibit loyalty and devotion to your friend. If you are a friend, you are a friend. You're a friend to the end. One of the blessings and bliss of having a good friend is that it adds to your years on the land. Yes. You know, research has shown that when you have a solid friend, a good friend, you live longer. You're actually happier. One of the missing ingredient, a core ingredient that many are looking for, is happiness. They don't have it. Why? Because one major reason, not saying that's the only one, not saying it's the only, is that they have not been a good friend to someone who was a good friend, or to people who are good friends out there. Do not buy into this whole mantra or notion that, you know, no one is good and everyone is out to get you, to poison you, to create some sort of mischief and mayhem, or do something to vilify you, or to do something malevolent or nefarious. Absolute madness, absolute nonsense. I rubbish that, because I put myself in the category of being a good friend, and I've always been a good friend to my friends. I value my friends. No one can come and say, oh, do this to your friend or that to your... As a matter of fact, you couldn't even have that conversation with me. You would not like my response. And too often, people sabotage the good. They sabotage. They strangle the better. They literally crucify the best for the worst. Many times. You have to understand the etymology. You have to understand the importance, the significance of having a good friend. And valuing that friendship, not equating that friend with an enemy. You cannot put them in the same category. Yes, the Bible says love your neighbor as yourself. The basic component of how you treat somebody, how you speak to somebody, the level of respect. But when you're going above and beyond, you do that for your friend. You do that for your friend. When you have that friend, you hold on to that friend, because they're rare, hard to find. They're rubies, they're diamonds. As a matter of fact, rubies, they're more precious than diamonds. Somebody was sharing with me that there was a point, or in some country, diamonds, you would think they treated it like, almost, not so much like trash, but it never had the worth that it has in present day. I don't know if it is when diamonds were originally made. I don't remember. Somebody was giving me some sort of a historicity on the diamonds. And I was like, what? Are you kidding me? And they said, yes. But when you talk about, you know, the Bible talks about onyx and rubies and emeralds. We know venture into the unknown. These are precious commodities, precious elements that are rare. And when you have them, you don't let them go. They don't expire. They're beyond durable. They're beyond formidable. These aren't the Jericho walls. You have to understand and value the friends. Too many people are living in regrets. Regret today because they sabotaged the good, the better, and the best for the bad, the worse, and the worst. And they cannot go back, unfortunately. And sometimes a person may even not even be in the same country or the same space. Unfortunately, they may have even died. And they can never get back that sort of deep and abiding friendship. A friend, the Bible went on to say, a friend sticks closer than a brother. That's how deep a friendship can be. Though it was making that inference as it relates to Jesus, it still was giving a very multidimensional meaning to say that, listen, when you have a very good friend, there is nothing, no demon, no power, unless God ordains it or allows it. Outside of that, that can never destroy that friendship. That friend is a friend to the very end. I remember watching this true story of two friends, female. The husband of one of the female had died. The other one was a single woman. Maybe her relationships weren't working out. And the husband died when the children were young. They had 2 or 3. One was like they range from, one was maybe like 3 and the other would have been like 6, 7, something like that. Young children. And because the father had died and they were very loving, the only way they would calm was when the mother would hug them half naked. Like she had to hug them. They had to feel the touch. Maybe they had to feel a mother being alive, because the death of the father really, really created a malady. It really had devastated them. And so, you know, they would be jumping up, and her best friend would join in, female friends. All of them in the house jumping on the bed, on the ground, doing all kinds of fun things, you know. And they took pictures, and they took it to the photographer to clean the film back in the day. And when he cleaned it, he was looking through it, and you saw that expression. And when you hear that eerie sound in the background, I said, oh my God, what is going to happen? Lo and behold, they accused the mother of child pornography. Like, what? I mean, she was beyond perplexed. Didn't even understand, maybe, the terminology, perhaps. And it went on ugly. You know, there was an investigator, police got involved, went to the court. And I remember when the police said, I believe that you're not guilty of it, but I think your friend is. She's jealous because she didn't have a husband, she doesn't have any children, and she went on and on. If you give her up, you won't have to spend 50 years in prison. And she said, I could never do this to my friend. I know without a shadow of a doubt that this is not true about my friend. I know my friend. And she said, we're going to go to court, we're going to fight it, because I know it's all right. If I have to go to prison, so to speak, that's what she said. And she went to court. I mean, the court session continued. Sorry, she said, I would never sell my friend out. Could never betray my friend. And when it went to the final stage with the judge, it was an older man, an elderly man. And he listened, and he listened to everything. And he looked up and he said, I remember while I'm listening and following this particular case, I begin to think about my granddaughter or great-granddaughter, who would run as naked as the day as she was born and jump into the little pool with her grandmother in it, hugging on her grandmother and enjoying that, like she said, that nakedness, but in a wholesome way with her grandmother. And that story reminded me of it. And the lady was exonerated. Nothing of the sort, because she knew who her friend was and she was prepared to go to the end with her friend. That's a friend. That is the friend that sticks closer than the brother, through thick and through thin, till death we do part. You have to know the difference, though, between who is a friend and who is an enemy. And oftentimes people get them confused, because a friend may not necessarily look like the friend, because they tell the truth and they mean you well. A friend lifts you, builds you, ensure that you do well and you live long. Guys, follow me on TikTok subscribe to my YouTube channel. Please share this message and give me some